Olá, o meu nome é Filipa e há mais de 10 anos troquei a engenharia pela arquitetura de malhas.
Hey makers, this is Nara from Knitleaks and I hope you are doing well and staying safe. This week you will meet Filipa Carneiro, an up-and-coming Portuguese knitting designer and one of the best knitting teachers out there. Knitting has been a beloved pastime for centuries, and it's become even more popular in recent years, especially during the pandemic.
Prontíssimo, café tomado. Prontíssimo.
And in the modern and international knitting world, I got lucky and met a very special friend who has been building her reputation with hard work from Portugal and is quickly becoming a reference not only in her home country but across borders as well. Filipa has superb skills in knitting design and she's already an exponent in this art in Portugal, Spain and beyond. Her online knitting classes are so popular that they often sell out within just few minutes, making her one of the most sought after teachers in this field. She's not just a gifted teacher though. She's also an amazing person with remarkable ability to connect with her students and has a way of breaking down complex techniques into simple steps that are easy to follow. Her stunning and functional designs show a keen eye for detail. Filipa is confident and skillful and she has a passion for crafting, especially related to traditional Portuguese techniques such as Portuguese knitting and crocheting styles and lace by music and other vintage motifs. If you are a fan of knitting or looking for a new craft to start, you shouldn't miss learning from one of the best knitting teachers today. Filipa runs the biggest YouTube channel where you can find tutorials and watch weekly Friday afternoons GMT episodes. She's starting to make a name for herself in the United States, producing some content in English in addition to Portuguese and Spanish. I was lucky enough to spend a whole day with her learning more about her classes and style. And let me tell you, her love of knitting is infectious and her kindness and generosity are unparalleled. She shared with me some of her insights into the knitting world and her design process. Hi makers, this is Nara from Knitleaks. Today I'm here with Filipa Carneiro, who is a very famous knitwear designer here in Portugal, where I live. I spent all the day with her. She taught 2 workshops about summer tops, as the one you were watching now. We are going to talk a little bit about her work, about her background, about her relevance here in Portuguese knitting scene. So Filipa, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much for talking to me.
Filipa, tell me a little bit about you and your knitting background, please.
I'm Filipa, I'm Portuguese. I now live in Lisbon, but I'm from Porto, which is in the north of Portugal. I actually worked as an engineer before I worked as a knitwear designer. So I always made crafts from a little child, but I only learned how to knit for 14 years ago. So I'm a relatively new knitter. But I become really obsessed with knitting, so I learned a lot and fast and devoted many hours for knitting and learning and studying, and now it's just my full-time job.
Filipa, you have the biggest YouTube channel here in Portugal in terms of knitting and knitting techniques, involving also crocheting. And all your patterns are super famous amongst the knitters and the makers, and you have a very specific quality here in Portugal, and I'd like you to tell us about it.
So I first started teaching knitting classes, and even before as I was learning and developing my knitting skills, I find out that there was lots of information and lots of YouTube videos and tutorials and lots of books about knitting, but not about Portuguese knitting. So Portuguese style knitting, which is we strand the yarn around our neck or a knitting pin, there were no YouTube videos, no tutorials. So I decided to create my own. So that's when I opened my YouTube channel, which is 10 years. It's 10 years this year. So I opened my YouTube channel and I started publishing videos, knitting tutorials, like small knitting tutorials, teaching how to knit and also teaching the main knitting techniques, but on Portuguese style knitting. That had a huge impact because, of course, other knitters in Portugal felt the same as I did, like there's no information on Portuguese style knitting. So they really started following, my channel started growing, of course, and I started teaching knitting classes. So I teach a lot of classes, had lots of students. I have a really great time teaching. I love teaching knitting classes. And I started designing after 3 years of teaching knitting classes. So when I started designing, I had already a huge background of what my students want in a pattern, the things they appreciate more. And also I find out that you should choose your knitting style and your knitting technique. It has to be the more comfortable for you. I have on my classes, I always have like English style knitters, continental style knitters, Portuguese style knitters, and I just try to go along and teach them all the techniques in all the knitting styles, so no one feels apart and everyone can learn, and I think that's really appreciated here.
So how would you define your work, Filipa, in Portuguese knitting or even in a broader way?
I collect vintage magazines, so I cannot avoid having some vintage inspiration on my work. And also as for that, of course, by collecting old books and old magazines, old Portuguese magazines, I get in touch with a lot of techniques that were almost disappearing. I really felt like the urge to try and design with those techniques and have fun and just try to bring them back so they won't get lost in time. So the first shawl I ever designed is this one I'm wearing. It's the Alfama shawl and has like a lace by music border. No one was working with lace by music at that point in Portugal. So it was a really technique only known by older people and it was almost disappearing. There was no new publications, almost no information. So I really have fun like trying to discover, talking to old knitters, trying to learn. Right now I'm also exploring the Portuguese style crochet, which is also as knitting. We strand the yarn around our neck or a knitting pin and we crochet, and it's a technique that's almost lost even here in Portugal. Just a few crocheters know how to do it. For the last months I was in touch with them and learning, so I'm really excited just trying to bring that technique also back to trend. So let's see.
Great. And what about the future, Filipa? What are your plans for the second semester of 2023 or even to 2022? Do you have some to share with us?
So at this moment I'm working on the autumn-winter collection, so lots of new exciting patterns. I'm also experimenting with a lot of old that I'm trying to become new techniques. Really fun. I'm twisting a little bit some things to try to make those techniques even more interesting and appealing. So I'm just having fun with lots of samples at this moment, trying lots of new stitches and new yarns also. So I'm really focused on having a really colorful and fun winter collection. So I'll be releasing some new and exciting, some innovative patterns on the next autumn and winter.
Great, thank you. Filipa, so for us to wrap up, could you please give us the information people wanted to know you more should have in order to contact you or get in contact with your content?
Yes, of course. You you can follow my YouTube channel, which is the biggest Portuguese knitting YouTube channel. So it's just my name, Filipa Carneiro. Also on Ravelry, you have my designer's page, also my name. And on Instagram, you can follow me on Filipa_Neonoi. It's my Instagram account, so you'll get in touch there.
Other than Ravelry, we can find your patterns in other websites. You have your own website, right?
Yes, I have my own website, which is filipacarneiro.com, and you also find my patterns, my digital patterns on Payhip.
Thank you very much for your time, and we spent the day together and it was a lot of fun. I hope you liked it, the video, and I wish all the best to Filipa because she's super nice and a very, very good teacher. I learned very much with her, and I'm looking forward to hear from her about the news she told us. Thank you. See you next week. As you can see, her influence is only set to grow. Filipa is a talented and inspiring knitting designer who is extremely generous with her knowledge. With her vast experience and skill, you will be creating beautiful and intricate knitwear in no time. That's all for today's episode. If you enjoy it, we would be grateful if you could give us a like and subscribe to our channel. Remember to turn on notifications so you can see our future content, and if you are on Instagram and Spotify, give us a follow there too. Thanks so much for your support. It means the world for us. We can't wait to see you next week and hope you were excited to hear more about our upcoming knitting adventures and events.